Hello and welcome back to my channel. As you might notice, a bit of a difference. My daughter dyed my hair for me. It took us 4 attempts, but we got there eventually. Today's video is another little bit of a wellness one. I'm out on the dog walk at the minute. My mental health is feeling quite a bit better, which I'm really pleased about. The HRT, which is a estrogen gel that they've got me on, my hot flushes have gone down from 6 or 7 a day to maybe 1 a week, which is amazing. I'm sleeping better, sleeping for longer, which is really good. The darkness that I was experiencing in my mind seems to have lifted, but it's actually revealed anxiety, which is something I've never experienced before. It's that like literally feeling of having a panic attack or about to have a panic attack. Yeah, that's not nice. Another new one for me. I'm not yet back to work, but I am hoping I will be going back soon. I miss everybody. Got the family coming around for a Sunday dinner today, which is nice. And I've been doing, today will be day 5, Wednesday, Thursday, yeah, day 5 of my 50 squats a day. I haven't done them yet today. I'll do them when I get back from the dog walk. Hi everyone again. It's actually the previous day. It's not previous day. That would be impressive. It's the following day. I had a very busy day yesterday. Family coming around, doing all the cooking and everything. So I didn't get to do any more filming. So here we are. It's Monday. I've just had the dog walk, so I'm a bit flushed in the face. I just thought I'd have a little catch up with you on this video. So as I mentioned previously, we're going to talk a little bit about chronic illness, invisible illness, and the one I have, which is multiple sclerosis. This is all going to be in my words, my opinions, my experiences. I'm not medically trained. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So please don't take this as law. This is just my experiences. So I have been diagnosed. I'm 49 now. I was diagnosed in my early 20s, but I'd been having symptoms a lot longer than that. The symptoms that really got me being tested were I was suffering patches on my body, started on my back, that went sort of, I would describe them as numb, but I suppose it was desensitized. So I couldn't tell if something touching me was hot or cold, soft or sharp or anything like that. I was aware of something, but I couldn't tell you what, which was really, I leant against a radiator out with some friends once and I thought I'd burnt myself and the radiator was stone cold. But yeah, so the little things like that. Then I started suffering from vertigo, which was then if I woke up and I'd been in bed, I'd wake up and I'd just start throwing up, basically. So we had various tests. MRI scan was the one that was sort of the decisive one. But my auntie at the time, who was a GP, she was talking with my mum. I didn't know about this, but they were discussing that it could either be a brain tumour or multiple sclerosis. In a way, I wonder if it had been a brain tumour, they would have operated, removed it, over and done with. Whereas MS is something I have to live with for the rest of my life until, fingers crossed, one day they may find a cure. But everybody's experience of MS, who has MS or lives with someone with MS, is very different. A lot of us are not in wheelchairs or using mobility scooters. I have a walking stick that I use every now and again, but the majority of the time I just look like a normal person. If you saw me parking in a disabled parking bay, you'd probably go, what's she doing now? It's taking up a disabled space. And I said, but I am registered disabled. I'm just a lucky one. My form of MS is relapsing remittent, which is sort of, I suppose, if you wanted to look at it, the milder form. I am, luckily for me, most of the time I'm in remission, but when I do have a relapse, it can take me out for months. The last big one I had, I think I was actually off work for 7 months. Symptoms vary greatly to people, and I would say season, day of the week, how the hell it fancies feeling it this time. You know, there is no rhyme, no reason. My worst ones are probably vertigo. I spent a couple of months having to actually live in an armchair, propped up with cushions all around me so I didn't lean over. So I had to be upright at all times. But at the same time, if I opened my eyes, I would be violently sick. The doctor was coming around and having to give me injections for the nausea. And my daughter at the time, who was, bless her, she was probably only about 5 or 6, she would come home from school and clean out my sick bucket for me. So yeah, she's traumatized now with anything to do with sick. And I feel awful about that, but I never asked her to do it. It's just her way of helping mummy. So Rowan, I'm very, very sorry. But yeah, so that's one of the worst ones for me. Walking, looking like you're drunk. The amount of times people sort of tut or cross the road or things like that, that is real. And you do look like you're drunk at sort of 8 o'clock in the morning. But you cannot walk any other way. And that's why a lot of people do end up with mobility scooters and things like that. Because it's humiliating. It is humiliating, and most of it's down to how other people view you rather than how you actually are yourself. And that's sad. So maybe this little speech of mine will educate people a bit. But yeah, symptoms can be chronic pain, chronic fatigue. And when I'm talking fatigue, I'm not talking like I'm tired. I'm talking if you don't get out of bed, you're going to die. Well, I'm going to die then. Because like literally you cannot move. It's you feel paralyzed. You're not, but you can. That is another symptom. You can have paralysis in parts. I remember for a period of time, you could have drawn a line down my entire body, and the entire left side of my body was numb. But I had paralysis in that side of my face, and I could feel it, but I kept saying to my mum, what's going on, what's going on? And she couldn't see anything. And one day I was at work, and I was in her office, and I laughed at something, and her face just dropped. She looked horrified. And I said, what? And then I just clicked. I just said, you can see it now, can't you? And she was like, imagine that half of your face, no movement at all, this half of your face, laughing. Yeah, you can't, it's not something you can physically make yourself do. It's physically impossible to do that, I think. But yeah, so she finally saw it. So yeah, paralysis on that side. Well, at that point, then I was like, I'm not going out. I don't want to see anyone. I was so embarrassed. That's the only way to describe it. Embarrassed for something that was like completely out of my control. But I had some lovely friends who, with my drunk walking and my face and everything like that, the paralysis, they were like, we don't care, you're coming out with us. It was New Year. And they were like, they made me go out, they made me go and buy a new dress, some shoes. They actually ended up carrying me home because my feet hurt so much. I threw my shoes in the bin on the walk home, which was funny. So yeah, I got carried home by those lovely friends. So if you ever see it, Dave and Ferg, I love you guys. Thank you for really helping me out. And no judging. It was wonderful. Wonderful to have friends like that. Yeah, so do you know, the list is so huge of symptoms, and I think that's one of the frustrating things about it, is that you go to the doctors about anything and they just go, oh, it's probably MS. It could be absolutely nothing to do with MS, but it could be something to do with MS because the symptoms are so huge. Basically, it is your body attacking itself. It's the only way I can think of describing it. So you have down your spinal column, you have like a sleeve. Sorry, I'm just doing hand movements that you can't really see. Called the myelin sheath. And when you have your white blood cells attack this sheath and leave what they term as scars. And they do it in your brain as well. So when you have an MRI scan, it will show up as little like white stars in effect on your brain scan. And that is the scarring, and the same on your spine. And then when your brain tries to send signals, because everything relating to your body has to come from your brain through your myelin sheath, all your nervous system, and it sends the wrong signals, or sends signals to the wrong place, or distorts the signals because of the scarring. So I take a disease-modifying drug. I didn't take it for over 20 years. I kind of got lost in the system a bit, but I'm now on it. I self-inject once a fortnight for 24 to 48 hours after the injection. I feel like I've got the flu, and that's every fortnight, and I will potentially have to do that for the rest of my life. So yeah, what fun. But I'm a very glass half full. My glass is always half full, apart from, as we all do, get down in the dumps days. But yeah, I am like, okay, so this is what I've been dealt with. I have started in the last year, I walk to and from work when I go to work. I try and walk everywhere because while I have use of my legs, I'm bloody well going to use them. Hence why I'm now doing this, as I've mentioned in a previous post, 50 squats a day for Mind for February, for Mind, the mental wellness charity. So yeah, while I can, I'm bloody well going to do it. Because that's just who I am. That's my way of dealing with things, is, some might say, by not dealing with them. I spoke to my neurologist and I told him that when I'm not having symptoms or a relapse, I kind of ignore the fact that I've got it. But that's my way of just getting on with life. I do go to an MS meeting. It's not an official one. It's an unofficial. Basically, a group of people from the Andover MS Society meet up in Asda Cafe once a week just to go and have a chin wag and put the world to rights and things like that. And I go to that one because it's not specifically MS related. The specific MS one, which is on a Friday, I don't go to because I don't need to be reminded of how bad it can get. I'm well aware of how bad it can get. My best friend Karen is in a she's not in a wheelchair, she's in a mobility scooter, but she cannot walk unassisted. And she cannot walk very far, even assisted. She's pretty much lost the use of her legs. She can't drive and things like that. So, we're all aware, but of the different stages. But I choose to kind of be blind to it unless I physically can't because I'm having a relapse. Sorry about the phone wobbling around there as I'm moving. That's just a little bit. I don't want to keep going on, but all I'll ask is please be aware that there are invisible illnesses out there. There are hundreds of invisible illnesses. But yeah, I mean, if you Google chronic illnesses and invisible illnesses, the lists are huge. Even diabetes. You wouldn't know if someone had diabetes specifically just by looking at them, because people don't class disabilities. It's still very much, if you're disabled, you're in a wheelchair. And that is just so not the case nowadays. So all I ask is please be mindful. And if you see someone with a blue badge parking, in a disabled space and then getting out and walking, looking absolutely fine. Don't be too harsh to judge, because you just don't know. You don't know what those people are going through. And it sucks. So yeah, sorry about if this video is a bit depressing, doomy gloomy or anything like that. I don't mean it to be. It's just me expressing something that is a big part of my life, whether I like it or not. And if it gives people just a little glimpse into chronic illness or invisible illness, or just MS, which is obviously the only one I can talk about because it's the only one I've experienced, then yeah, maybe it just opens people's eyes a little bit more. But if you have any questions for me, any comments, please don't hesitate to put them down, and I will try and get them answered to you as soon as possible. Yeah, please follow me, like, thumbs up. Sorry, I can't talk. That's another one, brain fog and not being able to use your words properly. I feel like a 5-year-old sometimes. But yeah, you know, do the usual. Subscribe, like, follow me. Please send me some comments. And let's have a bit more of a cheery one next week, hopefully. See you then. Bye.